All right, we continue to look at some of the changes announced by the President last night. The State Security Agency is now under the Presidency following last month's unrest in Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal. Is it a good move? Let's be joined now by a former spy boss, Mo Shaik. Thank you for being with us, Mr. Shaik. Firstly, looking at the recent unrest, is this a good move in light of what we experienced as a country? Could it mean it's less likely to happen next time?
Well, that's a difficult question, but is it a good move? Yes, it is a good move. It was always what was intended. And the President has simply brought the intelligence services in line with the requirements of the Constitution, where he assumes the responsibility by the constitutional mandate for the direction and the supervision of the intelligence services. So I think it's a really good move. It was what was always intended. It was what was designed in 1994, 1995, and it is now back to where it truly belongs.
Yeah, and presumably a president who doesn't have the latest intelligence information, who doesn't have his finger on the pulse, as it were, could be actually vulnerable.
Well, not in terms as a person, but as the head of state. The intelligence services has to provide to the president all the information that they have at their disposal to allow the president to be able to better govern the country and for them to provide the information that's needed for actionable knowledge, which is what intelligence is all about.
On the other hand, is there any scope for abuse here? Because we've heard claims at the Zondo Commission of the State Security Agency being involved in state capture, being involved in paying out ministers. So let's not even think of President Cyril Ramaphosa being there. Look at possible future presidents. Is there any scope for abuse now that this power is more centralized?
Well, as I said, Francis, this was always intended. And remember that the intelligence services falls within a system of checks and balances. There's executive oversight, which is offered by the president. There is judicial oversight, which is operations, which there's parliamentary oversight, and then there is the Inspector General. And all of this provides a systems of checks and balances, which unfortunately has not been functioning as well as it should have been, partly because you had a Minister of Intelligence. And all of these structures in one way or the other were reporting to the minister. Now they report to Parliament, the Parliamentary Committee, to Parliament, the Inspector General, to Parliament, and I think this is really a good thing, and we should all take comfort from it.
Okay, that's the good news. Does this reflect badly on the former intelligence minister? You'll recall Ayanda Dlodlo was saying that alerts were issued. The police minister denied that. And we spoke to an outgoing head of the domestic branch of the SSA last night saying it's all been clarified by government, but I don't think it has.
Well, I think what we have had is the dysfunctionality of the intelligence services and the security cluster as a whole. But that dysfunctionality is, I think, what is going to be sorted out now, so that there's more coherence in government, there's more systematic processing of information and systematic action based on the information processed. So I don't think it reflects badly on the ministers that were there. What it does reflect is that the inefficiency that is inherent in the system will now be resolved, hopefully, in the new way going forward.
Yeah. Well, before you go, and even if you're just giving us your opinion, when you were watching the unrest unfolding and thinking about the role of state security, what do you think possibly spies knew, or what should they have known? How do you think it all went down and all went wrong?
Francis, this is always the dilemma that we have when you had the 9/11, September 11th, Twin Towers terrorist attack. It is natural for people to say that the intelligence services should have known about these things. Well, the intelligence services can only know about these things if they are very intrusive in all our lives. But we live under a democracy. And part of living under a democracy is the checks and balances that's required over the intelligence services. And I for one, don't believe that the intelligence services must know everything that is going to be happening in society and any unrest that's happened. But the nature of the unrest, you could see that it was planned to some extent, but it's also sporadic to another extent. So to the extent that they would have known that something was being planned, but they would not be able to tell you exactly when, how, and with who it was going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's the limits of living in a democracy, that we're going to accept that we're not going to know everything and we're not going to be able to prevent everything. But when these things do happen, it allows the intelligence services to adjust. It allows the intelligence services to better their systems and allows them to be better informed of what's happening. But as long as they do that within the confines and the very strict checks and balances that the democracy demands.
Well, let's end there. You spoke about inefficiencies, though, even though not everybody could know everything. So the inefficiencies have been exposed. Some would say the rot has been exposed. Do you think that state security can transform?
And I think this has been a very significant wake-up call for everyone, but not only for the intelligence services, but it's been a wake-up call for all of South Africa. Because at the fundamental fault lines of what happened in KwaZulu-Natal and in Gauteng is inequality, is unemployment, and is poverty. Those are the fault lines that were exploited. Those are the fault lines that we all know exist. Now the question is, what are we as South Africans going to do to resolve those fault lines? To ask the intelligence services to solve the problem of unemployment, income equality, would be asking them to do something that they're not designed to do. But that is a societal challenge, and every one of us in our society should be grappling with what are we doing to contribute to solving those problems.
All right, thank you very much, Mo Shaik, former South African spy boss.